We live in a world where everyone smiles, yet no one is content. A world where happiness has become not a feeling, but a performance. We post our laughter, edit our vacations, filter our faces, convincing both ourselves and others that life is good, that we are good, that everything is fine. But beneath that surface of constant positivity, something festers quietly, an exhaustion that cannot be cured by another quote, another purchase, another affirmation. Somewhere along the way, happiness stopped being a private experience and became a public expectation. It is no longer enough to simply live. We must now prove that we are thriving. Entire industries profit from this obsession: wellness, luxury, self-help, even spirituality. All promise the same elusive thing: the end of discomfort, the permanent satisfaction of being alive. Yet despite the abundance of comfort and knowledge, people are more anxious, restless, and unfulfilled than ever before. The irony is cruel. The more we chase happiness, the more it slips away. The very pursuit becomes the source of our suffering. Arthur Schopenhauer, the 19th century German philosopher, saw this paradox long before it defined modern life. To him, happiness was not a goal to be achieved but a mirage, a trick played by the mind's insatiable nature. Every desire fulfilled simply gives birth to another. Every joy carries the seed of its own decay. We do not live to be happy, we live to keep wanting. In Schopenhauer's eyes, existence itself was structured around dissatisfaction. The human being is a creature condemned to chase, condemned to believe that the next achievement, the next love, the next success will complete them. And so we run, faster, louder, deeper into distraction. We chase the glow of the next thing, forgetting that it fades the moment we touch it. This, Schopenhauer would say, is the great tragedy of the human condition, that happiness, as we define it, is a trap. It lures us with promises of peace while ensuring that we never reach it. It keeps us running, not toward freedom, but in circles, endlessly feeding the hunger that defines us. Perhaps this is why, even in a world overflowing with pleasure, we feel so empty. Because what we call happiness is not the end of desire, it is desire itself, wearing a smile. And so, the question arises, what if true happiness isn't found in more, but in less? What if the secret isn't to chase, but to stop running altogether? The descent begins here, into the dark wisdom of Schopenhauer and the unsettling possibility that to see life clearly, one must first abandon the illusion of happiness. There is something restless within us, something ancient, unrelenting, and beyond reason. It whispers when we are alone, it stirs when we are still. Schopenhauer called it the will, not the personal will of choice or determination, but a cosmic, blind force that animates all life. It is the pulse beneath every heartbeat, the hunger behind every dream, the craving that keeps the world in motion. According to Schopenhauer, the will is not rational or moral. It simply wants. It wants without purpose, without end, without peace. It is the root of all desire, the force that compels a plant to reach toward the light, an animal to hunt, and a human being to build civilizations, fall in love, wage wars, and create art. Everything we do is the will acting through us. We believe we are pursuing happiness or meaning, but in truth, we are merely vessels for this endless striving. In this view, life is not a journey toward satisfaction, but a repetition of need. We want something, suffer for it, obtain it, and then grow restless once again. The moment of fulfillment is so brief that it barely registers before it vanishes into new desire. Schopenhauer described this as the pendulum of existence, forever swinging between pain and boredom, between craving and emptiness. When we lack what we want, we suffer. When we get what we want, we grow bored. And so, we desire again. This cycle defines not only the individual but the entire structure of modern life. The economy thrives on it. Every advertisement, every social media post, every algorithm is an extension of this same will, designed to keep us wanting. The constant scroll, the comparison, the pursuit of more followers, more recognition, more things, it is all the same invisible hand guiding us, ensuring the pendulum never stops. Consumerism, 2 is merely Schopenhauer's philosophy wrapped in digital packaging. The promise of fulfillment through material gain is a modern echo of the will's ancient whisper, "You are almost complete." But completion never comes. Because the will cannot be satisfied. It feeds on the illusion that satisfaction is possible. Even ambition, that noble human pursuit, carries the same trap. We work tirelessly for achievement, believing success will bring peace. Yet those who reach the summit quickly realize the view is not what they expected. Restlessness returns. The will demands another peak. This is why the rich chase more wealth, the famous crave greater fame, and even the content seek new distractions. Psychology now gives scientific form to what Schopenhauer intuited centuries ago. Dopamine, the brain's reward chemical, does not spike when we achieve something, but when we anticipate it. The pleasure lies not in having, but in wanting. The will is wired into our biology. We are not beings who desire because we choose to, we desire because we are desire. And so, happiness, as the world defines it, becomes impossible. For how can peace exist in a being whose nature is to strive endlessly? To live, for Schopenhauer, is to suffer, not as punishment, but as condition. To exist is to want, and to want is to lack. Life is not built on satisfaction, but on longing, a hunger that feeds itself forever. This is the dark insight Schopenhauer offers, that our suffering is not a mistake in the design, it is the design. The will ensures that no matter how much we gain, we remain wanting. The world, in this sense, is not a paradise to be enjoyed, but a mechanism of craving, a vast engine powered by the endless restlessness of life itself. And yet, to see this truth clearly is not despair. It is the first step toward liberation. For once you see the will for what it is, you can begin to step outside of its control. But before that freedom can come, we must descend even deeper into the illusion that keeps the will alive, the illusion of pleasure itself. Since the beginning of civilization, humanity has told itself a story of progress. We believe that each step forward, each discovery, each invention brings us closer to happiness. From the first spark of fire to the glow of digital screens, we have convinced ourselves that suffering can be engineered out of existence. That with enough advancement, comfort, and knowledge, life itself will finally become satisfying. Schopenhauer called this the great delusion of optimism, the belief that human progress can conquer the very nature of existence. For him, this optimism was not enlightenment but self-deception. It was the will disguising itself as hope, tricking us into believing that by moving faster, building higher, and consuming more, we could escape the restlessness woven into our being. History is the record of this illusion repeating itself. In ancient times, religion promised that divine order would bring peace. People built temples, sacrificed, prayed, believing that devotion would satisfy the ache of the soul. Then came the Enlightenment, proclaiming that reason and science would achieve what faith could not. Humanity would overcome superstition, ignorance, and suffering through rational progress. Yet, beneath this triumph of logic, the same emptiness lingered. When reason failed to fill the void, the Industrial Revolution offered a new dream: material comfort. Machines would liberate us from toil, abundance would bring contentment. But the promise was hollow. Comfort did not bring calm, it magnified craving. For every need satisfied, 10 new desires emerged. The more we conquered nature, the less we understood ourselves. The world became efficient, but the human heart remained unsatisfied. And now, in the digital age, the illusion has only become more seductive. We carry endless progress in our pockets, knowledge, entertainment, connection, yet we feel more anxious, more fragmented, more hollow than ever before. Our technologies promise freedom but deliver addiction. Our productivity systems promise control but create exhaustion. Every app, every upgrade, every innovation whispers the same ancient lie: just a little more, and you'll finally be happy. Schopenhauer would have seen all this as the will's most cunning trick, to keep us chasing shadows. The external world evolves, but the inner condition does not. Civilization changes its mask, but the same face hides beneath it: the restless human spirit, driven by insatiable desire. Even our language betrays this trap. We say we are moving forward, making progress, achieving more. But toward what? Progress has become an idol, a sacred word that no one dares to question. Yet progress without purpose is motion without direction, speed without destination. We have become expert runners in a race that never ends. Psychology confirms what philosophy has long known. The hedonic treadmill ensures that no matter how much our lives improve externally, our internal baseline of satisfaction remains the same. We adapt, adjust, and crave anew. The self-help industry thrives because it offers an endless sequence of goals, not to free us, but to keep us running. The illusion of progress depends on perpetual dissatisfaction. Schopenhauer's insight pierces through centuries of human optimism that progress does not cure suffering, it refines it. We have learned to suffer more efficiently, to disguise it behind wealth, status, and convenience. The primitive man's hunger was physical, ours is existential. We hunger for meaning, for identity, for validation, and the world supplies infinite distractions to keep that hunger alive. In the end, progress has not freed us from the will, it has merely given it new forms. The ancient man hunted for food, the modern man hunts for purpose. Both are bound by the same force, the same longing that can never rest. This is the tragic beauty of Schopenhauer's vision, that human progress, for all its brilliance, is still a dance around the same emptiness. We do not escape the cage, we decorate it. We polish the bars, we call it advancement, and we tell ourselves we are free. But deep down, in the quiet moments between our achievements, we can still feel it, that faint, familiar pull of dissatisfaction. The will still whispers, as it always has, keep going, you're almost there. And thus, humanity continues, not toward peace, but in pursuit of the next illusion. There is a strange emptiness that follows every moment of joy. It arrives quietly, after the laughter fades, after the goal is achieved, after the long-awaited message finally arrives. For a brief second we feel content. Then, without warning, the silence returns. A vague restlessness begins to grow, whispering that something is missing. Something else must be done, achieved, consumed. This is the moment Schopenhauer understood better than almost anyone, the instant when pleasure collapses back into pain. According to Schopenhauer, life is not a quest for happiness, but an endless struggle against dissatisfaction. Every desire begins as a form of suffering, a tension, a lack, a hunger. We chase objects, people, dreams, and sensations, believing they will complete us. Yet, as soon as we obtain them, the tension dissolves, and so does the feeling of meaning. What we called happiness was not fulfillment at all. It was merely the brief relief that comes when one particular pain ends. This is the cruel paradox of the human condition. To live is to want, and to want is to suffer. The more we desire pleasure, the deeper we entangle ourselves in suffering. Because in chasing the high, we also create the low. Modern neuroscience confirms what Schopenhauer intuited 2 centuries ago. The same neural pathways that fire during pleasure also regulate pain. Dopamine, the chemical we associate with reward and motivation, does not signify happiness. It signals wanting. It drives us toward the next thing, the next scroll, the next bite, the next purchase. The brain, like the will Schopenhauer described, is built not for peace, but for pursuit. This is why pleasure fades so quickly. The more we feed our appetites, the less they satisfy us. We adapt, and the threshold of satisfaction moves further away. What once brought joy now feels ordinary. What was once enough now barely scratches the surface. We chase more not because we need it, but because the silence without it feels unbearable. Consider the emptiness that follows success. For years, someone works toward a single goal, a promotion, a degree, a milestone. The day it arrives, joy floods in like light through an open door. But soon after, something strange happens. The feeling begins to decay. The purpose that once defined their existence dissolves. A new goal must be found, or else the void will expand. The same force that drove them to achieve now drives them to move again. Restless, unsatisfied, hungry. The same happens with love and social approval. The thrill of being desired, admired, or praised activates the same circuits of pleasure and validation. But as soon as that attention fades, the absence becomes a kind of suffering. The mind, conditioned to crave that stimulus, interprets its loss as pain. We refresh, we check, we post again, not to connect, but to escape the feeling of disconnection. It's an addiction, not to pleasure itself, but to the relief from pain that pleasure provides. Every reward creates dependence. Every high deepens the valley that follows. And so, in trying to escape suffering, we only recreate it, again and again, in endless loops of desire and disappointment. Schopenhauer described this cycle as the pendulum of existence. Life swings ceaselessly between want and boredom, between the torment of unfulfilled desire and the emptiness of its fulfillment. When we desire, we suffer from lack. When we obtain, we suffer from meaninglessness. The mind, unable to rest, invents new cravings to keep itself moving. In today's world, this pendulum moves faster than ever. Algorithms, advertisements, and dopamine-driven designs ensure we never sit still long enough to feel the full weight of our own emptiness. Our screens promise distraction, not deliverance. Each notification is a spark of temporary escape, but each silence afterward is a deeper descent into longing. The system does not feed our happiness, it feeds on our restlessness. Schopenhauer saw this clearly, that desire is the engine of human misery, not because pleasure is evil, but because it is impermanent. We live enslaved by the illusion that fulfillment exists somewhere in the future, when in truth, it is always just out of reach. The more we chase it, the more the chase consumes us. We become prisoners of our own wanting, trapped in golden cages built from dreams, pleasures, and ambitions. And yet, perhaps the most unsettling truth of all is this: we are afraid not of pain, but of the void that comes when desire ends. Because in that silence, we are forced to confront what Schopenhauer called the emptiness of existence, a state not of agony, but of unbearable stillness. To live, then, is to oscillate between the craving for more and the fear of nothing. Pleasure becomes pain not because it hurts, but because it ends. And so we keep running, not toward happiness, but away from the silence that waits beyond it. There is a peculiar kind of peace that comes not from hope, but from surrender. Not the surrender of defeat, but of understanding. This was the strange, unsettling wisdom Schopenhauer offered, the wisdom of pessimism. In a world obsessed with positivity, his philosophy sounds almost heretical. We are told to stay optimistic, to manifest, to believe everything happens for a reason. But Schopenhauer looked directly into the human condition and saw something different. He saw suffering not as an accident, but as the essence of life itself. His pessimism was not cynicism. It was clarity. It was the courage to stop pretending that life is something it is not. Most people, Schopenhauer believed, live within comforting illusions, the illusion of progress, of purpose, of eventual happiness. We tell ourselves stories so we can keep moving because without them, the void might swallow us. But for Schopenhauer, these illusions are the real source of our suffering. The more we resist the truth that existence is built on struggle, the more we multiply our pain. To see clearly, he argued, is to stop demanding that life make us happy. It is to stop expecting the world to align with our desires. Life, in his view, owes us nothing. The universe does not negotiate. And yet, when we finally accept this, something shifts. In that moment of surrender, a strange liberation occurs. By ceasing to expect, we cease to suffer from disappointment. By releasing our demands, we discover a quiet strength that cannot be taken away. It is not joy, but it is peace. Modern psychology echoes this ancient insight under different names. In dialectical behavior therapy, it's called radical acceptance, the practice of accepting reality as it is, without resistance or denial. In Stoicism, it's the discipline of focusing only on what we can control, while surrendering to what we cannot. Even in Buddhist thought, suffering ends not through pleasure, but through the cessation of craving, by letting go of the very desire for things to be otherwise. Schopenhauer's pessimism, then, is not a descent into hopelessness, it's an ascent into lucidity. It strips away the illusions that make us fragile. It reveals a form of strength that optimism cannot offer, a strength built on truth. When we stop lying to ourselves about what life should be, we finally begin to see what it is. We see the endless striving of the world, the hunger that drives animals, nations, and empires. We see that even love, that most exalted of human emotions, is often a disguise for the will's deeper agenda, the perpetuation of life itself. We see that pain is not the exception, but the rule, and that pleasure exists only as its brief interruption. At first, this vision feels cold, even unbearable, but beneath it lies a serenity unknown to those still chasing illusions. Once we stop expecting life to be fair, its unfairness no longer wounds us. Once we stop believing happiness is owed to us, its absence no longer feels like theft. This is the paradox of pessimism. By accepting suffering as inevitable, we rob it of its sting. When we see clearly that pain is woven into existence, we stop treating it as a mistake. We begin to live, not as victims of circumstance, but as witnesses to reality. Schopenhauer once wrote that a man who has attained this understanding no longer strives, but sees. He compared life to a dream, vivid, painful, and fleeting. And when one awakens from that dream, the chaos loses its power. The world remains the same, but the mind changes. This is the wisdom of pessimism, the art of seeing without distortion. To reject false hopes is not to lose meaning, but to gain clarity. In the end, the pessimist is not the one who sees too little beauty in life, but the one who finally sees it without illusion. Through the eyes of Schopenhauer, pessimism becomes not a curse, but a kind of freedom, the freedom to face existence as it is, and still find peace in the truth. There comes a moment, after all the striving, after all the noise and hunger of life, when a person grows tired, not with exhaustion, but with understanding. The endless chase begins to reveal itself for what it is, a dream within a dream. This is where Schopenhauer's philosophy reaches its final, haunting crescendo, the idea of renunciation, of freedom from the will. To Schopenhauer, life is driven by the will, that blind, relentless force pushing every creature to survive, to reproduce, to seek, to want. It manifests in our ambitions, our relationships, our pleasures, and our fears. But he also saw, with piercing clarity, that the only way to escape its tyranny is not to feed it, but to transcend it. Freedom, he said, begins when we stop obeying the will's demands. This is not about rejecting the world through bitterness or retreat. It's not moralism or ascetic pride. It is a quiet turning inward, a realization that the only real liberation lies in detachment. When the endless wanting ceases, when the I dissolves into stillness, we glimpse something that feels like eternity. Schopenhauer found evidence of this transcendence in art. When we lose ourselves in a symphony, in a painting, in poetry, or even in the silent contemplation of nature, the will falls silent for a moment. We cease to be individuals clawing for pleasure or power. We become pure perception. The world no longer revolves around us. We are simply witnesses to it. In that rare instant, existence is enough. Music, for him, was the highest art because it bypasses the intellect altogether. It doesn't describe the world. It is the world, speaking in the language of emotion. When we listen deeply, we experience life's rhythm without attaching our desires to it. We are free not because we possess anything, but because we have momentarily stopped wanting. This state, he believed, is echoed in the mystical traditions of both East and West. In Buddhism, it is nirvana, the extinguishing of craving. In Christian mysticism, it is the surrender of the self to divine will. In the writings of the Stoics, it appears as apatheia, the serenity that comes from non-attachment. Across all these traditions, the theme is the same. Liberation is not found in pleasure or power, but in release. Modern life, though drenched in noise and stimulation, still contains faint echoes of this truth. We see it in the rise of mindfulness, where one learns to observe thoughts without being ruled by them. We see it in the artist absorbed in her craft, the athlete lost in a state of flow, the minimalist who finds peace not in abundance but in simplicity. These are not just trends or coping mechanisms. They are unconscious attempts to quiet the will, to touch, however briefly, the stillness beyond desire. Renunciation, then, is not the rejection of life. It is the highest affirmation of it. To see the world clearly, stripped of illusion, and still find beauty, that is the essence of Schopenhauer's freedom. It is not about denying emotion, but seeing through it, not about suppressing the self, but transcending its endless cravings. For Schopenhauer, the compassionate person embodies this wisdom most fully. In compassion, we recognize the same suffering in others that lives within ourselves. The boundary between I and you begins to dissolve. The will, which feeds on separation and struggle, loses its grip. Compassion is thus the most profound form of renunciation, the moment when we stop being prisoners of our own ego. There is a quiet irony in this philosophy. The same man who described life as torment also offered one of its purest forms of peace. By turning away from the chase, he discovered the one freedom that cannot be taken away, the freedom from wanting itself. In that silence, there is no ambition, no fear, no striving, only awareness. A stillness that contains everything and needs nothing. The path of renunciation is not an escape from life, but an awakening within it. To live without clinging, to act without demand, to see without judgment. This, for Schopenhauer, was the true art of existence. And perhaps, when the will finally grows quiet, when the endless pendulum of desire comes to rest, we do not find emptiness at all, but the first glimpse of peace. When the chase finally ends, when the noise of desire fades into the background, what remains is not the grand victory we imagined, but a quiet, unfamiliar peace. The kind that doesn't announce itself, that doesn't need applause or validation. It simply is. All our lives, we are told to pursue happiness, as if it were a destination, a prize waiting at the end of effort. Yet every step toward it only seems to make it more distant. We build careers, relationships, reputations, and still feel a subtle emptiness, a quiet ache that no success seems to cure. Schopenhauer understood this better than anyone, that happiness, as the world defines it, is not something to be found, but something to be released. When we finally stop demanding that life make us happy, life begins to soften. The constant hunger loses its grip. The disappointments that once broke us now pass like weather. The world doesn't change, but our way of seeing it does. We begin to notice the beauty in the ordinary, the peace in silence, the completeness of simply being alive without the need to justify it. Clarity, then, is not born from accumulation, but from subtraction, from letting go of what was never truly ours to control. To want less is not to live less, it is to live more freely, with fewer chains tying our worth to things that fade. In the end, perhaps the happiest life is not the one filled with pleasure, but the one finally free from needing it.